the issue of the postponement. This is not without looking at safety as a reason for taking such decision. Well, my name is Abdullah Hajia. Thanks, you could join us in your living room at home as government has ordered us to stay at home. But as essential workers, we are here to be able to relate with you as far as sports is concerned. And today I will not be alone also. Ayo Deji Makinde will be joining me later to look at some of this issue. But for now, please, let's go on a short break. Well, social distancing is part of the advice given by medical experts, but I have my friend and my brother, colleague Ayo Deji Makinde in the studio joining me today to look at some of the issues. So, Ayo, we're not going to shake hands. How are we supposed to do it?
Hello, Dad. How you doing?
You're welcome.
Good to see you.
Sports.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
So how and what's happening?
Well, it's been very, very painful that we're not seeing much of activities again. We're not seeing sports events, sports facilities in the country on shutdown at the moment. We can't even see the currency that we see in sports. We don't get to see that. But again, we need to remember it's only commonsensical that we should all be safe so that we can enjoy what we love to do. It's just going to be for a period of time, hopefully. Well, the world is in a lockdown and like you say, safety first. And I think that is what everyone is doing and working to ensure that this virus is contained and probably will come back to our normal life where everything will return to normal. And I can't imagine a world without sports. And I think if you go feel the pulse of people, it's the same thing. You get to hear that life is boring without sports. The usual, league matches, the usual competition, cancellation of major world events, and so on and so forth. But, well, Ayo, for now, if Bade Adela is ready with our usual tidbits, Bade, please, what do you have for us today?
Hello and welcome. It's time again for us to go on a quick ride around the world of sports in 240 seconds. Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Diary has commended the International Olympic Committee for postponing the Tokyo 2020 Olympics due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Diary believes the decision is in the best interest of the Olympic family, just as he spoke on how crucial it was for the ministry to postpone the 20th National Sports Festival in Edo State.
And I think it's in compliance, the code compliance you have across the world. When it comes to COVID-19, there's a code compliance now. I think that we hope that this will pass sooner than later. We're also watching the WHO, given a 30-day window. Like I said, the National Sports Festival will still hold this year, by God's grace.
In a related development, President of the Nigeria Olympic Committee, Habo Gumel, has welcomed the postponement of the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo due to the impacts of COVID-19 around the world. Gumel says the decision is the best for humanity because of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic.
Immediately the situation all over the world improved. That's the issue of the coronavirus. I believe the International Federation will come out with a formula so that the qualifier will continue, and then after the qualifier, of course, the training of the athlete will continue and single normalize, and then by the time everything normalized, we'll now have the Olympic game that will take place in the year 2020 and the rest of the world.
Eyimba international midfielder Dayo Ojo has regained his freedom from the den of kidnappers after 4 days in captivity. The Super Eagles B-team midfielder was kidnapped on Sunday evening on his way to his base in Akure, Ondo State from Abia State after the Nigeria Professional Football League embarked on a break due to the coronavirus outbreak. Ojo was kidnapped alongside Abia Comets player Benjamin Iluyomade, and both players have now been released. The Confederation of African Football says the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations will not be postponed amid the coronavirus outbreak, which is fast spreading across the world. Football activities across the globe have been put on hold as a result of the pandemic, with CAF recently announcing the postponement of 2020 African Nations Championship indefinitely. However, this consideration will not be given to AFCON 2021 as the continent's football governing body insists the dates will remain unchanged. Former Super Eagles winger Victor Moses has left Italy due to the spread of coronavirus in the country after completing the mandatory 14-day quarantine recommended to be observed by players. The unknown Chelsea forward is among the 7 Inter Milan players that have left the country for their different destinations, with Italy battling the deadly virus. Others who have returned to their bases include Romelu Lukaku, Ashley Young, Christian Eriksen and Diego Godin. Nigerian-born British boxer Anthony Oluwafemi Joshua has issued reassurances about his health after it emerged he met Prince Charles, who has tested positive for coronavirus at a function earlier this month. The 3-belt world heavyweight champion, who is still scheduled to defend his titles against Kubrat Pulev at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on June 20, is now in isolation. And that will be all on Sports Tidbits for this week. Enjoy the rest of the show with Abdullah.
Thank you, Badi Adeleye. We're not expecting anything less for that beautiful package. Ayodeji Makinde. Now, a lot of issues, with the coronavirus issue around the globe. Let's quickly start from the postponement of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. We learned that the Olympic will still retain its name as the Tokyo 2020 Olympic, even though it has been postponed till next year. What's that supposed to mean?
I believe it's part of efforts to still keep the reality on ground for future generations to come, because many people want to make reference to the Olympics. Did we really have Olympics in the year 2020? They'll say, oh yes, we had it in 2021, but it was called Tokyo 2020. It's a very commendable effort by the IOC and, of course, the government of Japan to come out. I'd also remember the build-up before the eventual announcement of the postponement of the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. We've seen some moves by the Canadian government and by the Australian government where they pulled out from participating at the games. It was only natural and a matter of time that the decision will come out for the games to be postponed, because if you see countries beginning to pull out, that means you will not really have effective participation. You cannot even calculate how many countries over the next few weeks will also withdraw. So it's only good you take the decision in good time and then find a way of adjusting the calendar in such a way that by the time we come out of this, then we can effectively have something grand by the year 2021 to still be similar to what we could have had in the year 2020. Because
I think in addition to what you say, it's like normal, because even if you're able to contain this COVID-19, probably say by April, May, it would have affected the preparations of athletes and countries that will be participating, in the Tokyo Olympics. But let's hope that we're able to, put this aside and, look forward to better organization and probably see athletes come out, from the pains of the COVID-19 issue. But one issue I also want us to look at also is this COVID-19 and the sports economy. In what way do you think these have affected?
It's been very, very bad and devastating to the sports world, from football to basketball to Formula One, to those who are not even the main actors. That's talking about the athletes now. You look at the backroom staff, you look at those volunteers, casual workers who come around on match days, for instance, in football, for the Grand Prix. You look at those who come around to assist and they get their peanuts or they get their wages from that. A lot of people have been affected. We're not having these grand events. Naturally, it's a big blow for tourism at the destination that were initially scheduled to host such events. It's a big blow also for athletes because your bonuses and endorsements that you get from many of these multinational corporations come out based on your top drawer performance, your podium finishes, the laurels you win. Now you don't have the platform to showcase that. Definitely it goes down, it drops your level of income. You look at those who also come around there to work. For instance, match days in the English Premier League, people who come around to work, now they can't even make a living. You look at footballers now, some players in the German Bundesliga, they've all come out to say they'll give up their wages because even clubs cannot sustain themselves anymore. The money is not coming. TV rights are not functional at the moment. Footballers cannot wear brands that drive sponsorship again. So it's draining the funds that really, we're having sports at the moment. And we're seeing concerted efforts by different sports federations to manage what this havoc is right now in sports. And we can only believe that more people, more sports, more athletes, more legend of the sport will come out and also find a way to augment efforts by many of these organizers.
Well, Ayo, thank you very much for that wonderful insights and analysis. Don't forget, it's a participatory program as usual. Always tell you, you can call us later to make your contribution, and the number is on your screen. You can reach us. Ayo, now another issue is the issue of Anthony Joshua, and the issue also still with coronavirus, now self-isolating after he met with Prince Charles at the Westminster's Abbey during when the sports athletes and entertainers were hosted now. And I think he is reassuring us that he's healthy. What's anything to fear?
I don't really think so, because we've not read or seen any contrary reports from the medical line that he is tested positive, although what we've seen, he went into isolation. We hope some symptoms will not manifest over the next few days, but I don't really think there's any reason to be afraid of anything. We have this high level of optimism that it's not going to come close, or it's not going to spread at the rates that we've seen it in the last few weeks, and we can only believe that Anthony Joshua is good to go, and of course sports will always triumph at the end of the day.
Do you envisage his fight with Pulev?
Oh, surely. That's going to be a very, very big one, because I can't just wait to see that fight. It was a fight earlier scheduled for the year 2018, but Kubrat Pulev could not come in at that particular time, and then will Anthony Joshua take on Carlos Takam. This time around, let's see, is the mandatory challenger for the IBF belt being held by him, and we can only wait to see a big fight at Tottenham Stadium.
Okay, well, quickly before we go to the phone lines, please, let us look at the issue of Dayo Joe and Benjamin, who, finally have regained their freedom, and we're happy for them anyway. Don't you think these players need to be more careful, probably in terms of where they visit and, where they go, especially this time around?
Oh yes, you're very correct. Just last week also we saw players of Enimba be attacked in Okigwe. We've also seen different stories coming out, not really interesting to hear or talk about. But for some of these players that they know, when you see footballers, they're sportsmen, they're show guys. They want to enter a place now with their S-Class or whatever they're driving to let you know that, come on, their Fizi is here. And naturally, that would attract anyone who is not up to your standard, or anyone who feels is being oppressed because of the way the society could be tilted sometimes. So it's only apt that they take that into consideration. There is no big deal. You can't tell a 7-foot-plus man that is acting to be like a giant.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you. Hello, good afternoon. Wow, we lost that caller. Okay, well, you can still reach us. We're here to listen to your contribution and probably make your observation on some of this issue. Now, before we get the calls coming in, another issue is the issue of Ifeanyi George. We lost him on Sunday morning to a ghastly motor accident. I think it's not a good one. Too many issues of Nigerian professional footballers, dying. Not too long, we experienced the issue of Chineme Martins, the other guy also. I think it's not too palatable.
Lots of stories, lots of sad news also in the media. It's a big blow to Rangers International to lose Ifeanyi George at the moment. Is a very promising player, one player that many are even saying would be a very good addition to the Super Eagles. But there's no way you can prevent some of these things from happening sometimes. We can only hope that now that he's gone, we've seen the club and also players come out to say there should be adequate packages.
Okay, sorry,
there's a call on the line, I guess.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thanks for joining us. Your name, please, and where you're calling from. Wow, what's happening to the lines today? Okay.
So we can only hope there is enough package, from the insurance company.
Hello.
Yeah,
hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, joining us.
From Ilorin.
Okay. Wow. Well, well, we hope that the network allows us to get to hear from you. Well, okay, now, Ayo, one issue also, the issue of Victor Moses and other Inter Milan players, being forced out of Italy at the moment as a result of this COVID-19.
It's only natural. Remember, Italy is one of the worst places as far as coronavirus is concerned. And if we all say we are missing the sports that we love so much, I think it's only better that some of these performers go to safety first and then come back to still give us something closer to what we used to enjoy. It's a bold move by him to leave the country, and of course let's hope and pray he doesn't test positive, by the way, but it's a very good one and a commendable one for him and also for the club and also the government of Italy, who ensured that there was a shutdown, a total shutdown, even before the rest of the world started acting extensively.
Okay, well, even though we're told that he has observed the 14-day quarantine, and let's hope, like you said, that he's negative, and because we know he still has a lot to give to football, even though he has retired, from the Super Eagles. Now, another issue is the issue of athletes now, realizing, like you mentioned earlier, accepting a cut down in their pay, just recently, Roger Federer is also, given his own widow's mite to help, his people from Switzerland. I think we need more of such.
Yes, from many of those greats in sports who have made so much fortune from this particular activity of ours that we call sports. You mentioned Roger Federer coming out to also donate, and we've seen Robert Lewandowski and also many of these athletes really coming out to support the cause and the fight against coronavirus. I think there's a caller.
Okay, hello, good afternoon. Yeah, please, let's hear you. Wow, the network is not friendly.
Actually, the line is corona-free, so they can feel free to talk about that anyway. Well, yeah, we were talking about Roger Federer and the rest. Now, take for instance a player like Roger Federer.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. We can hear you.
Yes, please, is this the NTA Nigeria?
Yes, this is NTA Abuja Capital Sports.
Yes.
Your contribution, please. Hello, we can hear you.
More, and it's just one of many other athletes that we have across board also who would have been thinking 2020 is the golden year to get that one that I need and then retire.
Okay, I think we seem to be having somebody on the line. Hello? Your contribution, please.
Yes, sir. Please, the question.